Hello and welcome to Channels Book Club. My name is Olakunle Kasumo, and it's great to be on the show. It's still political season in Nigeria. The country is all, well, excited is not really the word. There's a bit of tension out there, legal disputes and so on. Against the backdrop of the economy that is, people are looking for cash, fuel, a lot of things. We should be in a better place in Nigeria. Come on. This country has a lot of potential. We should be in a better place. And when you look at the lives of our young people, they are the ones that really say to us, either verbally or otherwise, the need for us to sit up as a country. One of the things that we've done on this show, which is 10 years old, as you well know by now, is we've organized essay competitions whereby young people are asked to read novels and then write essays to review the novels. And we have taken the winners of those competitions to literary events all over the world, in many parts of the world, I should say. And it has been exciting. For me personally, that has been the most exciting part of this experience, just watching those young people lighten up, being rewarded for their talents, and then going out of the country and seeing what it is like out there and comparing to Nigeria, and then birthing in them dreams and desires to really be great. That has been such an experience for us on this show. Channels Book Club Prize for Literature, we have called it. And we had the first one in 2013. And we're going back through some of those things that all those young people said back then. I just ask myself now, 10 years down the line, where's Nigeria? What has happened to us? All those dreams that they all had for their country 10 years down the line. Where's the country now? So we really need to sit up as a country. But this is Channels Book Club. We are still taking you down memory lane, back years ago, 10 years ago, 9 years ago, 8 years ago, and so on. That's what we've been doing for some time now, and we are continuing with that today. So we are going to go back to 2013 when we visited Frankfurt International Book Fair. But apart from the book fair, which is the biggest book fair in the world, we visited so many other places in Germany with the winners of the maiden edition of the Channels Book Club Prize for Literature. We were wowed by how brilliant those three young ladies were back then. But you know what? Time has proven that we were right. They have turned out so well. And we're going to show you each one of them right now and what they are doing right now. But let's go back memory lane and take that journey with us back in time to the Frankfurt International Book Fair in 2013.
than an iPhone.
One of the most interesting experiences during that Germany trip with the girls was a meeting with a lady who sort of enlightened us on the connection between Brazil and Nigeria. Remember, during slave trade days, remember, Nigerians were taken from here. People were taken from here, where we now currently call Nigeria. Nigeria did not exist before 1914, remember. But where we currently call Nigeria today, people were taken from here to many parts of the world as slaves. Over 4 million people were taken from this place that we now call Nigeria as slaves. Wow. Well, she enlightened us on that, a bit of that story and some of the things that are in present-day Nigeria that sort of encapsulates that slave trade experience, particularly between Nigeria and Brazil. It was quite an enlightening period. Enjoy a bit of that.
My name is Maria Isabel Leme Harris. I know Nigeria before you were born. I was by the construction of Abuja 30 years ago. I love Africa a lot, in Nigeria in particular. Why? Because Brazil and Nigeria are very well connected. I don't know if you're aware, but the first slave port from Africa was Brazil. So all the slaves that came to the American continent came straight from Africa, stopped in Bahia, and from Bahia, the Caribbean, and from the Caribbean to the North America. So Brazil has most of the connections with Nigeria. And those connections are related to the cultural, food, and everything. Let me give you some explanation. There is a place in Nigeria that they call Brazilian Quarters. Do you know why they call it in Lagos, why they call it Brazilian Quarters? Because after the slavery freedom in Brazil, the slaves went back to Nigeria and they put together a place specifically in Lagos where the Brazilians used to converge. So you have some Brazilians that became very important in Nigerian culture. Like your minister, Thomas, that was the finance minister before, he was a Brazilian descent. If you're not aware, the first president of Togo was a Brazilian descent because the parents went back after the slavery freedom, they went back to Nigeria. They had business in Cotonou, Dahomey, and Ouida. So she delivered in Lomé because it was during the war. And the Silvanus Olympus became the first president of Togo. He was a Brazilian descent via Nigeria. Okay, so why Nigeria is important for us? There is a guy called Pierre Fatombi Verger, that he went to Nigeria. He lived in Abeokuta, and he codified the traditions of Nigeria for us Brazilians in a book, and he was a friend of Pierre Verger. There is a book called Flux and Reflux of Africa. This book, Pierre Verger was an anthropologist from France. So he put together all the oral traditions between Africa and Brazil. And based on Pierre Fatombi Verger, we start to put together some books that talks about our culture. You can track a direct line between Brazil, Bahia, and Nigeria. That's the, you know, when the Africa does like this, Brazil does like this.
Yes.
So according to Baker, those two continents was together, the Pangea, the erosion that divided them. So whatever the culture you have in Nigeria, you also have in Brazil. Okay? So this second book is very important. But this one specifically talk about what? Obas,
Okay, like kings.
the kings. So everything about the religion. And when you talk about the religion, you have the Afro-Brazilian religion that we call Candomblé. So we have the Queto nation, the Nago, Queto, the Jexá, and the old nations. So we have what they call the Babalorishas. This is a Lorisha for Xangô. So the religion is very well and alive in Brazil. This is the Xangô representation. The dancer for Xangô with all the instrumentary Omolu, Obaluaye. So in a daily basis, while the orishas, how do they take place, how do they do the ceremonial and everything. So this book talks about that, okay? And this one, it's about smiles. Pierre Verger, Pierre Verger, he was also a photographer. And as a photographer, he went to Africa and many other places and he took pictures of people smiling because he used to say that smiles could connect the world. Smiles from all over the world. You see? And you guys, so you can see. It smiles, it smiles, it smiles. Okay?
Those three girls back then, Eniola, Honor, and God's Favor, were so brilliant. Not just in the way they wrote their essays, not just in the quality of their submissions, but also in the way they carried themselves when we went to Germany there. We were so proud of them and so proud of Nigeria. They made everybody so, so proud. And they were very insightful. When we spoke to each of them about their thoughts on the visit and on Nigeria and a whole lot of other things, here's what they had to say 10 years ago.
The standout place for me was actually at the book fair. I was really surprised how much people respected books. I never knew that all my life. I've never known that books were so revered, respected, and had so much regard in other places because they aren't really treated so, you know, with so much reverence as they are treated here in Europe, back in Africa, Nigeria to be precise. It's a really great thing, and it really, you know, surprised me how much people respected the books there, both African books and different books from all over the world. And then the Brazilian lady really inspired me about how we should preserve our culture. I really don't really have that much, I didn't have that much respect for, you know, our culture, or I wasn't trying to preserve it. But when I heard what she had to say to us, I was really touched. I really had a new resolution to change the way us in Nigeria felt about it, about our culture. I really plan not to lose it, to find out everything about it right now. I'm really, you know, looking forward to hear how everything started and how life has been in a wider scope and stuff like that. So I think the most, the standout point in this whole thing is that hard work pays. If I never knew that I would actually be in Germany right now, if someone had told me, I wouldn't have believed it just through my essay competition. And now I believe that you should really work hard and be determined to do anything you're told to do. Don't treat it like reluctantly. Always put your heart into it.
The most was when we visited the, I think, African Institute at the Gutenberg University, where we came across, like, I think over 1,000, or even much more than that, lots of African books. You know, these books, we can't even find them in our own country. So it was really, you know, amazing. I was surprised. I was like, wow, that it's here, but not in Nigeria. So that was quite interesting for me, and it gave me a lot of thoughts about the way our country is. So I think that was the standout experience for me. In general, you know, visiting different places, meeting different people, it made me realize that knowledge is power. The more people you know, it really helps. It helps to, you know, broaden your horizon. And I think it's important that we acknowledge that people that are successful today, it's not by accident. They didn't just get lucky. They actually worked hard towards achieving their goals, and they were able to transfer their visions and their dreams into reality.
Something you have passion about, just go to it. Don't really listen to what people are saying. You know, actually in my class especially, everybody just wants to be a doctor. You know, nobody's thinking about being an artist because it's like it's a boring something, a boring course. I actually saw people on the streets that, like a guy playing violin. He was just playing it so passionately. He didn't even care if they were actually dropping money. You know, he was just playing it out of his whole heart. He was so happy doing it. You know, back in Nigeria, we were always thinking that the foreigners were living in splendor, like enjoying or just enjoying. But when I came, I saw people struggling. It's still the same thing. And that is the mentality that is really bringing us down, degrading us in Nigeria. We always want to be like the foreigners, but they are also struggling, trying to make do with what they have. But we're always looking at them, like want to be like them.
Smart girls. But where are they now? First of all, Eniola Oladipo, you can see how much she has changed right there. Eniola Oladipo, that's her. She's changed 10 years. Wow. Eniola is flying high in the United States of America right now, where she is a clinical researcher in the oncology field. Such a brilliant young woman, making her family, making her country very proud. She's a researcher right now, and 10 years ago she told us this was a path she wanted to take, and she's right on track now. Well, there was also Honor. Honor was the youngest of the three back then. She came second during that competition. Eniola came first, Honor was second. And Honor today, look at her, look at the difference now. Wow. I spoke to her a few days back, and after so many years, and she was so excited, and we began to remember that trip to Germany and the experiences, and she was, you know, she was so excited over the phone. Well, Honor is currently an undergraduate student at the University of Waterloo in Ontario, Canada. She majors in health science and minors in creative writing. She's pursuing a career in medicine, but also aspires to write creatively. She has published pieces of writing in publications and journals on and off her campus. Her most recent writing endeavor was a screenplay for a movie that was screened during an on-campus event showcasing the cultural expression of African students at the university. Wow, Honor is really doing well. And these are things that she told us back then that she wants to do. And she's living her dream right now. Wow. And of course, there was God's Favor. She came third during that competition. And God's Favor was so full of life, and she gave us so much fun back then. And she's also living her dream today. Of the three, she's the one in Nigeria, and she's doing so well. Godswiver studied mass communication at Rivers State University of Science and Technology, and she was one of the best students in her faculty. She currently works with a design company, a fashion and design company. She's excited about her job. She's doing so well, and she's still writing today. Well, those are the three ladies there, and you can see that after 10 years, they've done pretty well for themselves. We spoke to them recently, and wow, what an experience. What an experience. Well, we'll be bringing you more of all those champions over the years of the Channels Book Club Prize for Literature and share with you what they are doing now after winning the competition years ago and traveling with us to Germany or London or Sharjah or Dallas, as we've done over the years, to let you know how much they have made progress and how far they've been able to come. Well, Godswiver graciously sent us a short video expressing our thoughts about that experience back then in 2013 and Channels Book Club generally, and wishing us happy 10 years of being on air. Please bear with us. This is amateur video. It's like when I handle the camera. Well, but she was gracious enough to have done this for us and sent it to us.
Hello, everyone. My name is Godswiver Nna from Rivers State. I was part of the 3 winners of the Channels Book Club Prize for Literature, the maiden edition. Channels Book Club really changed my life. It is an undisputable fact that change, any kind of change at all, first of all starts from the mind. And Channels Book Club improved my mindset. It made me more creative, well-informed. It revitalized, restructured, and enlightened me. So I'm really grateful for that competition, for the organizers, and I'd love to wish them a happy anniversary. Thank you.
Oh, so very touching, so very touching. We'll bring you a lot more of that from other guys and ladies who won the Channels Book Club Prize for Literature over the years. And it's really fantastic to know that they're all doing very well. This is where we have to end the show today. As always, we'll be delighted to get your feedback through any of our social media platforms displayed on your screen. My name is Olakunle Kasumu. Remember, one great book can change your life. Bye-bye.